The answer to 1984 is 1776.
But joining us for his maiden visit here on the transmission is pharmacist Ben Fuchs, again, who hosts his own show here Sundays on the GCN Radio Network, the home of the Alex Jones Show. And you go through the statistics. We've got $2 trillion a year being spent on health care in the U.S., $8,000 for every man, woman, and child. But we have some of the worst health in the world. And a lot of it's caused by the drugs Big Pharma is pushing. And pharmacist Ben Fuchs is obviously perfectly suited to be able to talk about this as somebody who was a long-time mainline pharmacist. Ben, great to have you on with us.
Greetings, Alex. Thank you so much, and thank you for all your wonderful work. I've been following your stuff for almost a decade now, and it's just a tremendous, tremendous asset to have you on our side.
Well, it's awesome having you here with us. This is a short segment, long one coming up, but, I mean, bottom line, how did you awaken? What's going on in this country? Because we're told give up all of our rights because terrorists might kill us, but we got a better chance of being struck by lightning or, drowned.
By prescription drugs.
Yeah.
Or killed by prescription drugs, yes. Well, in pharmacy school, one of the main things we study in pharmacy school, believe it or not, is side effects. I remember watching a movie, and I graduated from pharmacy school back in 1986, and I remember watching a movie that was put out by a drug company, a promotional movie for a new drug that was going to revolutionize the hypertensive business, the antihypertensive business. It was a drug called Inderal, or now known as propranolol. It was a beta blocker drug. It was a new class of drugs, and this was an hour-long movie that was done to promote this drug. In the first 15 minutes, they talked about how revolutionary this drug was going to be. The last 45 minutes was some lady reading the side effects of this drug, and she was reading them very fast, and she could barely get them through in 45 minutes. And right then and there, I knew we had a problem. And then when I graduated pharmacy school and started to work in the drug business, I started to see what I was actually doing as a perpetrator, as a pushing these medicines on children and on the elderly, because that's who takes most of our medicine, is children and the elderly. And I just couldn't live with myself. And the more and more I did research, the more I found out that we are not sick in this country. We're starving. We're missing basic raw materials. You see, Alex, the human body is a healing and regenerating system. It's designed on a divine basis to heal and renew itself on a moment-to-moment basis, and you need look no further than the last time you cut your finger to observe this healing process in place. And that same healing process that kicks in when you get a little paper cut, where little fibers wind their way to the area and collagen comes through and white blood cells clear it out, and all of a sudden 2 days later you don't even know you have a cut. That same process happens inside the body. It happens on a regular basis. It's divinely mandated, but it needs raw materials to do its work. And those raw materials are what we call nutrition and nutritional supplementation. And those are the raw materials that we're missing. We're missing them, as you said, the last hour, from the ground up. We're missing them from the soils. We're missing them from the plants. We're missing them from food processing. And the net effect is degenerative diseases are increasing at an epidemic rate, and it is a tragic, tragic state of affairs. And
this is known by science. This is known in all their big internal studies. This is known by doctors and veterinarians. One of the biggest issues that people that own livestock deal with is mineral deficiencies that cause all sorts of health problems, that then hurt the overall output of the farm or ranch. This is not a secret to those that do the research. But, I mean, here's just a historical example. Why are British called limeys? Germans get called krauts because they like to eat sauerkraut. Why are British called limeys? Well, going back over 300 years, internal British naval reports, their scientists found that for whatever reason, people that didn't eat fresh fruits had their skin degenerate, their teeth fall out, old wounds would open back up, and they knew that if they simply ate fruits, that for some reason they then wouldn't die when they went on long voyages. And so the British Empire spread for many reasons, but one of the biggest was their sailors 5,000 miles from home engaging a Spanish ship 5,000 miles from home, or a French ship. And the French and Spanish, by the way, made jokes for hundreds of years about the British, how they carried limes with them everywhere, calling them limeys. And to make sure that the people on the ship would drink it, they would squeeze the lime into the rum, into the grog, part water, part rum, that they gave the sailors because they knew they'd drink the liquor. And so they would mix that lime in, and so the British would be all healthy and ready to kill some people when their ship came up alongside the board, and the Spanish or the French would all be laying out on the deck with their teeth falling out, the #1 cause of death for sailors, obviously being scurvy. And that's an example right there of just vitamin C needed in collagen.
That's exactly right. And just a tiny little bit of vitamin C. And if you don't have that tiny little bit of vitamin C, as you said, you get scurvy, which is one of the most hideous diseases known to man. But you know what, Alex? You need more than that tiny little bit of vitamin C for optimum health. And that's one of the biggest scams going in the world of health.
And that's what Nobel Prize winner, two-time Nobel Prize winner Linus Pauling found, but they don't want and now the UN's moving to block taking mega doses of vitamin C. Let's talk about that and a lot more with pharmacist Ben Fuchs straight ahead. There is no doubt that the medical system, not the average doctor, they're compartmentalized, not the average pharmacist or nurse, but the medical system itself wants to treat the disease, not give you preventative measures. And we're talking about this with insider, formerly a mainline pharmacist, talk show host Ben Fuchs. Ben, continuing, I just used the example of scurvy. Let's continue with scurvy and then look at what other mineral or vitamin deficiencies do, and how when people go into the hospital or the doctor now, they don't even look at that. They don't even look at deficiencies. They don't test the blood. They just give you some toxic pharmacological garbage.
Worse than that, Alex, they take you off your supplements if you're on supplements because they don't want the supplements to interfere with the toxins.
Oh, yeah, I hear Dr. Dean Adele every week when I tune in. He's on a local station before I go on Sundays, and I've had Dr. Dean on before. I hear him say vitamins are bad for you. He'll bring out these government studies. He'll say that you don't need them. I mean, it's crazy.
Alex, you ever hear the term useful idiot?
Yes.
Well, let me tell you something. With all due respect to the good doctor, that term is very appropriate. I don't know what his intentions are. Maybe I'm sure he's a nice guy, but to go out and to tell people that they need to go off of their vitamins, that vitamins cause problems, is absolutely at best irresponsible, and at worst it's insidious and evil. The fact of the matter is vitamins have zero side effects. Vitamins have, and by the way, I don't mean just vitamins. Vitamins and minerals and what we call nutritional compounds have zero side effects, zero toxicities, zero adverse effects. The worst thing that can happen is you can take a 500 vitamin A pills and go into something called hypervitaminosis, which immediately reverses as soon as you stop taking the vitamins, unlike prescription drugs, which are a leading cause of death, which are a leading cause of hospitalization. Fifth leading cause of death, according to the Journal of the American Medical
Association. And by the way, you're a pharmacist, and my dad's a dentist, and I've seen him call a pharmacist friend of his to ask if a drug interacts. My dad's really smart, but he'll tell you a pharmacist knows more than he does because you deal with this every day. And I know medical doctors will call and check with pharmacists about interactions because you guys are the experts.
With all due respect to doctors, they are trained in hiding symptoms and masking symptoms. And I should clarify that there's two types of medicine. There is what we call heroic medicine, where, by the way, American medicine excels.
A gunshot wound, a compound fracture.
Heart attacks, stitching you up, get hit by a car or bus. That's called heroic medicine, and nobody ever gives short shrift to surgeons or people who practice heroic medicine. Where medicine is an abject failure. An abject failure
is pharmacia.
Ambulatory medicine, where people are being treated for their symptoms. Well, Alex, your symptoms are your friends. Your diabetes is your friend. Your psoriasis, your arthritis is your friend because it's telling you there is something underneath in the biochemistry of your body that needs to be corrected or your demise is imminent. The idea is not to hide the symptom. The idea is not to mask the symptom. The idea is not to shut the body down. The idea is to figure out what is wrong, what is the body trying to tell you, and to correct that problem. And more often than not, it is based in the nutritional system. And that's why nutritional supplementation is an absolute must. It is not an option, especially in this day and age of health insurance, where everybody's screaming and up in arms about buying health insurance, being forced to buy in health insurance, the costs of health insurance. My friends, there is no better health insurance, and there is no less expensive health insurance than $3 a day on a nutritional supplementation program.
Well, why? If you see the statistics from Australia to the United States, it's the same because our industrial growth was almost identical, but it's the same thing in Western Europe. Up until about 1935 or so, suddenly people started living longer. Suddenly people started having less diseases. They were drinking better water. They were getting more nutrients. They were getting better heroic medicine. We had better sewage systems. People knew to wash their hands. Then vaccines and drugs come in, and suddenly we see a lot of that life extension gain being reversed now across the board. Please continue.
Life expectancy just dropped. You know, average life expectancy in the United States just actually dropped the last year. Slight drop, but I predict it's going to be dropping even further, and it's the first time in decades that that's happened. Now, what occurred, Alex, is we really, up until about the middle of the 20th century, we really did use nutrition. Physicians really did practice nutritional medicine, and we understood the power of the diet. But right around the middle of the century, the pharmaceutical industry started to understand how the body could be manipulated, so that symptoms could be hid. And this really began with the advent of steroid medicine. Around the middle of the 20th century, rheumatoid arthritis was a real killer disease, and it's still a pretty horrible disease. We don't see folks with rheumatoid arthritis too bad anymore.
Yeah, it was the Germans that pioneered steroid medicine.
Well, what happened was, when steroid medicine came out, steroids shut down the immune system. Rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disease where the immune system goes awry and starts to attack itself. Well, when steroids came out, we figured out how to shut down the immune system. Well, temporarily, if you shut down the immune system, you're not going to have rheumatoid arthritis. And that was
But then your body doesn't fight off the cancer.
Exactly. Do you think it's a good idea to ever shut down your immune system? Hello, doctors out there listening.
It's estimated, according to the federal government reports I've seen, that a 20-year-old gets cancer a couple times a year, that a 70-year-old is getting it almost every day, but the body is beating it. Right. And it's when your autoimmune system stops killing the cancer every day, it's over.
You never want to shut down your immune system. It is absolutely ridiculous to think that by shutting down the immune system you could improve health. But Alex, that's how medicine works. Medicine works by blocking things. Medicine works by suppressing things. Medicine works by shutting things down. That's why we have anti-inflammatories. That's why we have anti-hypertensives. That's why you have inhibitor drugs. You have a serotonin reuptake inhibitors. You don't want to shut the body down. The body is like your baby. And when you have some kind of symptom, your baby is crying. Now, if you take some duct tape and tape your baby's mouth, you're not going to hear your baby crying, and that's all great, but you're going to kill your baby. Well, the same thing happens when you take a drug to shut down a symptom, be that symptom inflammation that shows up as arthritis, or hypersecretion of cholesterol that shows up as cholesterol plaques. Whatever it is, if you're shutting down a system in the body so you mask the symptom, you are shortening your life, accelerating your demise. It is crazy, especially in light of the fact that almost all diseases, if you backtrack them far enough, you will find either a defect in nutrition or a defect in the absorption of nutrients from the GI system, from the digestive system. And this is the core of all health and wellness and the core of all disease, nutrition and the digestive system.
Well, I know mainline medical science for hundreds of years knew that vitamin C was literally integral to everything. And I, read stuff 80 years ago where dermatologists told women, if you want to have young skin, eat lots of things containing vitamin C. But now they don't tell women that. They tell them have surgery. Again, another example, just looking at minerals, vitamins, nutrients, because that's one of your big areas of research, that deal with the skin, the biggest organ in the body. Right. What are things that we know that supercharge the skin?
Well, I'll tell you, skincare is really my business. It's my passion and my love, and I lecture around the country specifically talking about skincare, and I've formulated many skincare products over the last 30 years. And let me tell you something. I don't like the question where people say, what's the one thing I could do for my skin? But I'll tell you, if I had to tell you one thing you could do for your skin, it's probably the single most critical nutritional deficiency that we have in this country, and that is around fats and essential fatty acids. Now, when you don't have fats in your body, your skin will show up as dry. And Alex, how many people do you know have dry skin?
Oh, I'm going to stop you right now. There are all these women in my neighborhood, 35, 40 years old, who are super skinny, who are into being, skinny, but they look like shriveled mummies. And I tell my wife, when she starts losing too much weight, I say, honey, I like a little plumpness. I mean, because she looks young and vibrant and voluptuous, but they've sold us that it's so beautiful to be this little wraith. But then I read about all these disorders with seizures and mainline science admitting you need more of these certain types of fats for your brain, not just your skin.
Well, there's two specific kinds of fats that are technically referred to as essential fatty acids. And whenever you hear the term essential in nutrition, that refers to a substance that you cannot make, a substance that you have to get from your diet. And these two fatty acids are absolutely critical for the production of protein, number 1, as anti-inflammatories, number 2, for brain health, number 3, for the production of something called master hormones, which we know as eicosanoids in the biochemical world. Without these essential fatty acids, none of those compounds can be produced, and the net effect is a degeneration of all your tissue, and one of the first tissues that degenerates in the body is the skin, because to the body, the skin is not important, or not as important as the heart or the lungs. So when you're nutritionally deficient, the first place the body will withdraw nutrients from is the skin. So the skin becomes a window to what's happening in the body instantly. So we can look, by looking at the skin and by reading the skin, by speaking the language of the skin, we don't have to do biopsies. We don't have to cut inside the body to be able to assess nutritional deficiencies. And one of the worst things, or one of the most common things that we see in the skin is dry skin. Well, let me tell you something, Alex. Human skin should never be dry. Human skin should never be dry. There are sponges inside your skin. We call them the natural moisture factor. There are molecular compounds that trap water. If you have dry skin, you have a biochemical deficiency that is shortening your life. It is not cosmetic and superficial to take care of your skin. To take care of your skin from a nutritional basis is to feed the inside of your body, because if you see something happening on your skin, rest assured it's happening on the inside of your body. We can use the skin as a barometer to what's happening inside the body on a nutritional basis, and that's how we want to treat skin issues. That's the number one thing I've learned from being a skincare professional, which I am, as well as being a pharmacist.
Again, you host a show Sundays, and I've done a lot of research because I'm trying to get into a real health kick, not just exercising, but under all the stress I deal with, trying to get the right minerals. In the last 3 weeks, I've been doing this with my wife, and she's a lot more into health than I am, and she just absolutely loves the products from Longevity, the Tangy Tangerine, Beyond Tangy Tangerine, but also the Pollen Burst. She's taking it all. That's her favorite before she works out, with all those minerals and vitamins and all of the trace elements that are in there. And one reason I've got you here today is because I've done a lot of research. When I promote a gold company, I do research. When I promote a storable foods company, I do research. It's what I buy from. It's what I believe in. And that's why we've set up the InfoWarsTeam.com, just InfoWarsTeam.com. Tell us, dealing with minerals, how important they are, because, the government says you need 44 minerals or so. But in the...
Nothing works without minerals. Nothing works without minerals. Minerals act like minerals do a lot of things, but one of the most important things they do is they act like little batteries. Minerals conduct energy. Alexander Volta, back in the late 18th century, or late 18th century, came up with this idea where he noticed that minerals produce something called a voltage. They called it an electrical current, but they named it after Alexander Volta. Your body is an electrical system, and it conducts energy at different frequencies, and each one of these minerals acts as a frequency modulator. Remember back in the old days we used to have crystal radios, where you just turn the crystal and different frequencies would come in through the crystal radio? Well, the body is much the same way. So many people think of minerals as part of the structural component of the body, and indeed your body's skeletal system is composed of minerals, but really minerals function in a much more fundamental fashion, and that is in an electrochemical fashion. No vitamins work without minerals. Vitamins all have a little battery associated with them, and that battery can be considered a mineral. Now, minerals you can't just get minerals from eating rocks. Rocks are minerals, but you're not going to get any nutritional value out of rocks. But plants have evolved an ability to take those rocks from the earth and convert them into an electrically active, usable form. So the way you want to get your minerals is in plant form. Now, eating vegetables is a great way to get your minerals in an activated form. But millions of years ago, there were swamps all over this part of the country out west here. And as the swamps died, the organic material decayed, and what was left were these activated minerals, which have remained with us as mines. And by scooping out these minerals out of mines, you can actually put them in water, and because they're electrically active, they will suspend in the water. Minerals will, if they're not electrically active, will sink in water. They don't float or suspend. But when they're electrically active, they form something called a colloidal suspension. And a colloidal suspension of minerals is nothing more than minerals that are actually hanging in the water via electromagnetic interactions with the water. And when you drink those minerals, you get those electrically activated substances into your body and into your cells in an absorbable form.
So you're able to absorb it. What's
Yes.
your view? What's your view of colloidal silver? Because I know the
Same idea. Silver, if you try to do just plain old silver, you would die because silver can't be handled by the body, but in the colloidal format, it becomes non-toxic. So it's the same idea. When minerals are suspended in a colloidal format, they become non-toxic and they become absorbable and usable by the body.
Now I heard that described by my dad when he went to UT and then Baylor, because he's like, I was saying, Dad, I bought this stuff at Whole Foods, this super, mineral bottle, and they told me at the place that it's the best at Whole Foods. And I said, but why does it say it has trace mercury and arsenic, but then mercury and arsenic's bad? And he said, well, I learned in school that it's a different variant of it, and you have to have tiny trace amounts of that stuff mixed with the other minerals to have it be able to be activated. That's different than pure mercury, injected into you past the blood-brain barrier, not going through the stomach. That's why the Japanese live longer statistically than anybody else. They have the highest, diet mercury of anybody. That's because it's a different type, because it's somehow, and again, I'm going off what scientists have said. I don't understand this myself, connected into the tuna fish flesh itself, so you pass it through you, and it only helps upload the other minerals and vitamins. But if it's another type, the type that they're injecting you, the thimerosal, it's completely different. Is that correct?
That completely different form. It's not like a mineral is a mineral is a mineral. There are many different forms of minerals. When minerals are suspended in a colloidal liquid, they become active and they become usable and they become non-toxic. This is the gift that plants have given us, is they've activated and they've detoxified these substances.
Incredible. Well, folks, we hope you check out the fine line of products, and also your purchase of them supports this broadcast, what we're doing. But I believe in these products. I've researched them. I've looked into them, a wide range of them, available on the longevity line at InfoWarsTeam.com. We'll continue when we come back. But pharmacist Ben Fuchs is joining us. The system knows we have mineral and vitamin deficiencies. They know that we have trace element deficiencies, because from the research I've done, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's important to have those 90+ minerals and then all the other vitamins for them all to work together, because if you don't have them, then the other vitamins and minerals are unable to be basically fully used by the body. And after you talk about that, give us your breakdown as a pharmacist, your take on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine that we've got at InfoWarsTeam.com. Because, again, I've scoured to find the best products that I believe in, I've done the research on, but I want your view on it, on the pollen burst. Because my wife she doesn't have a placebo effect. She kind of looks down her nose at things until she really sees the effect, and she likes the pollen burst the best. But, break that down. Am I correct in describing how all these things work synergistically together?
Let me tell you a couple things. First of all, the cool thing about nutritional supplementation is the more deficient you are, the faster you notice results. Because the body is in a vacuum state and nature abhors a vacuum. So if you are deficient in any nutrients, as soon as you start a supplement program, you notice results right away. And by right away, I'm talking within hours you will notice results. And if you have a deficiency disease, if you have something like diabetes or hypertension and you start a nutritional program, your health markers will change so rapidly that you better tell your doctor, or you may run into a problem with your medications being too active. That's how fast you notice results. When the body's in deficiency state, it absorbs nutrients rapidly. So this stuff proves itself. It will prove itself to you within hours or within days. Now, as far as the synergistic nature of nutritional supplements, you're absolutely correct, Alex. No matter how good your baseball team is, if you don't have a third baseman, you're not going to win very many games. You can have all eight other positions filled with all-stars, but if you're missing one position, you're not going to win many games, and nutrients work the same way. Even though we like to break them down, and I'm guilty of this myself because of the fascinating nature of each one of these substances, you have to take a complete nutritional supplement program, not individual nutrients. And that's one of the reasons why I like the longevity products so well, is because they allow you to get on a program, and nothing exemplifies this synergy and the program nature of the supplements better than the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, because it has everything. And not only does it have everything, it has everything in a liquid format. It's actually a powder that you put in water, but then you drink it. And one of the first things we learn in pharmacy school is it's not the medicine that you take, it's how well you absorb it. And the fastest way to absorb a nutrient that's not intravenous or intramuscular is through a liquid solution that you drink.
Because with pills, no matter how good the pill is, you don't absorb a lot of it. But when it's liquid, you absorb almost all of it. I mean, that's just, bottom line, common sense.
Common sense, right. If you want to maximize your absorption of anything, you want to put it in a liquid format. The Beyond Tangy Tangerine, as well as a lot of the other products, by the way. And this is another one of the brilliant touches of Dr. Wallach, is he understood that it's the format of the supplement, and that's why you have liquid supplements.
Well, look, I'm a busy guy, and I was in great shape 10, 12 years ago, quit working out, got totally out of shape. I've lost 25 pounds last year. Now I want to lose another 30 and really get in shape, and just doing my research for it, I was jogging, lifting. It's nutrition. Even though I don't eat a lot of junk food, I wasn't getting a lot of the things I needed, and I am feeling the difference. But it's common sense. If I can take one packet that tastes great, dump it in my purified water and drink it, that's something I can do, and that's something my children will do. But if I tried to take all of this as vitamins and minerals, it'd be a big pile of them every day. Folks, the website's InfoWarsTeam.com. But pharmacist Ben Fuchs joins us. I've heard his show, impressed with his research, had a chance to meet him when he flew out to hear me speak in Santa Cruz a few months ago. And that's why when I met him at the time, I wanted to get him on the show, because I'd done some research into his work. And I believe in promoting things that I think are good and that also support our broadcast and what we're doing. And that's what InfoWarsTeam.com is doing. And it's pretty much like Costco. You pay $10 if you want to get the discounts on the products, or you can just buy the products. And then once you sign up, you can also sign up others, as you sell it to your neighbors, friends, family, or do like I'm doing, just giving it to friends and family. But my children love the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. My wife's also taken the Pollen Burst. They got a lot of other great products that we're promoting at InfoWarsTeam.com. But in the 4 minutes we've got left, Ben, getting into just other confirmed examples of deficiencies that we know are causing major diseases for people out there listening that their doctor hasn't, told them. And hey, if they take the vitamins or minerals and it doesn't help them, I doubt that it wouldn't, they're out, nothing but having some vitamins in their body that certainly helped them at some level. Why not? Why aren't the medical profession, I've seen studies about how unhealthy hospital food is amongst some of the worst, in the world. Our body is made up of what we eat.
Let me tell you one of the most insidious nutritional deficiencies that we've got going, and that is the B vitamins in heart, as they regard heart disease. Simply 3 B vitamins can eliminate large numbers of heart problems, and Dr. Kilmer McCulley, who was a physician from Harvard, said this in the 1950s. There's a compound in the body called homocysteine that, unlike cholesterol, has been definitively linked to cardiovascular disease. This may come as a surprise to some of your listeners, but to this day, elevated cholesterol has not been definitively connected to heart disease. And despite that fact, some of the most toxic drugs on the planet, the statin drugs, are being dispensed like candy. Well, unlike cholesterol, 3 B vitamins, or deficiencies in 3 B vitamins, has been linked to heart disease via the toxic chemical homocysteine, and that's vitamin B6, B12, and folic acid.
Well, that makes sense. Everybody knows muscles need that, and autoimmune systems need that, and that's why they know in dentistry that if you have dirty gums, that's where a lot of the infections get in and actually cause you to then get an infection in the ventricles. But what's the main causal effect of that chemical. I mean, there's the heart always beating from the time, you're born to the time you die. Obviously, it's the muscle, kind of like your calf cramping up if you don't have enough of the stuff that's in bananas.
Well, if you don't take those 3 B vitamins, if you don't have enough B vitamins, which unless you're supplementing, it's very difficult to get because B vitamins are depleted by processing. If you don't have those B vitamins in your diet or somehow getting them into your system, you are playing with fire, especially as it regards the heart. But the problem is, Alex, you can't make any money on the B vitamins. The B vitamins are cheap. They're cheap to produce, and they're cheap to take.
In fact, the longevity products are packed full of it, correct?
Packed full of it. That's one of my favorite things about the B vitamins, or about the longevity products, is not only are they packed with the B vitamins, but the B vitamins need to be taken with liquids. And if you take the Beyond Tangy Tangerine or you take the Ultimate Classic, you're getting them in liquid format. The B vitamins are also excreted readily from the body. So not only does that make them non-toxic, but it makes it vitally important that you're continuously saturating your tissue.
And in closing, I'm now hearing Dr. Dina Dell and others demonizing B vitamins like they're bad.
If I ever hear Dr. Dina Dell demonizing B vitamins, I will personally fly out to a studio in California and rip him a new one.
Oh, I hear it all over the news. I hear there's all this talk about B vitamins, how great they are. It's ridiculous.
That's a terrible, terrible thing. The B vitamins are vital for health, and most people don't get anywhere near enough.
All right.
Get on those longevity products. That's the best advice I can give you.
InfoWarsTeam.com, folks. Get involved. Thank you, Pharmacist Ben Fuchs.